We would like to welcome you at our last panel for today, which is called 12 Hints for a Successful Career in Luxembourg. And at this panel, we welcome 4 young, spectacular professionals. One of them is Manon Aubry from RSM. She's a wonderful, bright woman who's also the co-chair of our Private Equity for Women Club. Then we have Jeffrey Colbert from Eldinger Prussen, a young partner also with a successful career. Then we have William Thurman, who will kind of moderate this talk, who recently changed the career and will share his experience. And the cherry on top is Laurent Hingisch, who recently founded his investment company in Luxembourg. Welcome, guys, and I will give the word to you to shortly introduce yourself.
Let's take the same order. Manon.
Thank you. You already introduced me very well, Natalia. So yes, perhaps to present myself again, I'm working at RSM Luxembourg as a manager, and I'm heading the transfer agency and transfer administration team. And I'm active in the private equity since a few years, since I've met Raja in the LPEA. So it has been almost 3 years, and we have launched private equity for women in order to empower women and to help them to gain confidence in the day-to-day business of the private equity world.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Colbert. I'm a partner at Elvinger Hoss in the alternative funds department. I'm mostly focusing on fund formation and structuring, as well as investor negotiation in private equity, real estate, but also debt funds. And I'm also very active at the LPA in various committees. Thank you.
Hi, I'm William. I'm a director for business development at Ocurium. I've been working in Luxembourg since 2012, setting up investment funds for asset managers on the management company side and the AFM side, across all asset classes, I want to say, but especially heavily in real estate, private equity, and venture capital.
Hello, everybody. My name is Laurent Hingisch. I founded my investment company, Lavska VMO Capital, 2 years ago. We are now one of the leading venture capital investment firms focusing on fintech in Europe. I started my career in 2014 in Luxembourg in the fund administration field. So I come from the service. I have a service background and now do active investments in those fields.
Thank you. Thank you. William, let's shoot with the tips.
Exactly. Well, thanks, Natalia and Luis, for inviting us. When they asked us to participate and at this career day, we want to offer some guidance for people entering their career, entering Luxembourg as a market, and especially the investment fund industry, or ideally the private equity industry and VC industry. So when you're contemplating how and when to start your career, well, the time's now, you've come to the right place. There's certain aspects you should consider, because from afar it really it can seem opaque and very confusing. So first of all, we start with the point to find a way into the industry, because if you're an outsider, you want to change that, you have to change that. And the way to do it is like you're doing today, starting at the industry associations like the LPEA, the Career Day, other associations as well. I'm not going to name them here today. And they offer great programs to get to know each other, to start finding a place where you want to start your career. For me, it was looking over the border. I started in Germany working for a bank, and I did know a few people, but none really offered to help one out. And then I got this glossy brochure from an asset manager with the managing directors on it, and see here are the new up and coming people in the Luxembourg fund industry. I thought, hey, I'd just give it a shot. browsed their homepage. I found a job vacancy that was suitable for me. I had job interview 1, 2, 3, and then I was in. Right? It sounds so easy afterwards, but until then, it takes quite some time. And they don't just assess skills. They also want to know if I'm cool enough to join the team. Actually, how was it for you, Manuel, when you started? Laurent, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I just want to mention it was a bit of a similar story. I studied economics in Berlin. I mean, I was subscribed to the university, let's say it like that. And I was working as a wine salesman. And then I thought, okay, at some point I wanted to work in fund industry. So I saw the numbers, Luxembourg, one of the main fund domiciles in the world, number 2 in the world, number 1 in Europe. So I didn't know anything about funds, because funds, you cannot study funds. You cannot do a master's in investment funds, basically. So I remember in one afternoon, I wrote to 85 companies in Luxembourg, like literally everybody that had to do something with funds, and 2 replied. Okay, and so I went to an internship, not an internship. I went to an interview, and they were looking for a business development manager, and I said, I don't know anything about funds, but I can sell. So they said, okay, well, it's easier. You have a guy with soft skills, and you learn him how investment funds work, instead of somebody who knows how investment funds work but don't know how to speak or how to shake hands and small talk. So one of the 2 companies then employed me as a business development manager, and I really started from scratch. I didn't even know what a CIF was back then. And so I started learning, going to some workshops from the Big Four, for example. They offer a lot of free advice, which is quite nice. Also law firms like Elvinghorst and so on and so forth. So I went to all those panels, to those discussion workshops. At the beginning, it was very confusing, but then after a while, it worked out, and that was my way into the career. And I became a member at LPA very, very early on, as well.
Yeah, I do understand your point. And I started my career in Luxembourg as compliance officer. So don't hate me for the clients who have a look on me. Just don't be afraid. I used to be a compliance officer, but it really helped me to understand the industry, to understand what is an investor, or the structuration, etc. And the first time I entered in the market, I heard about private equity, and I just asked to my colleagues, but what is private equity? It's just private equity, but how do you describe it? This is easy, just private equity. There is no definition. That was very, very hard in 2014. It was when I started my career. And fortunately for the young people now, you can have a look on the private equity world easily. You can even find video to explain the private equity world, the fund industry in Luxembourg, worldwide, etc. It's very, very important to have a look on what is doing in Luxembourg and outside. You have to find the right definition by your own. You have to be interested in this word to get in the private equity world, because it really matched. The curiosity and private equity really match together, according to my understanding. I don't know if Jeffrey agree with this, because I'm probably the younger one today.
I'm not sure about that, but I can tell you that Jeffrey is a lawyer, because he's wearing the suit, the nice one.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't sure. I just wanted to be on the safe side, but I agree with what you said, Manon. I think, I mean, just in a nutshell, from the outset, I was very clear when I still studied that I wanted to go into financial and business law, and I actually ended up doing a master's degree specifically on banking, financial law, including investment funds related fields of or subject fields. And so I think if you're very clear on the career you're looking at, Luxembourg can also obviously offer by way of their university, a specific program on investment funds, which is quite nice. And it's not only for law degree, but I think they also have workshops. So that's definitely also something to consider. And I think overall, today we have the big advantage that apart from organizations like the LPA, everyone tries to, or everything ties in nicely. So the University of Luxembourg is offering courses and workshops. So does the LPA and other organizations, and everyone tries to really put forward Luxembourg and what we can offer, not only in terms of careers, but obviously also in terms of skill set development more generally.
That's a very good point. I mean, if you look at us as a group, we were all invited because we excelled quite quickly in our career. We're all in our early 30s. Manon, sorry if I'm stepping on some toes there. I'm not sure. Well, us gentlemen are in our early 30s, and we are already quite advanced in our career, I want to say. When you have a clear distinction like Jeffrey early on during his studies, of course that sets you on a fast track towards your goals. But it always looks like it was easy afterwards. But until then, it took a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of hours and
commitment.
And commitment especially. But Jeffrey, tell me, when you started, was it important where you studied and what you studied, or were you all equal new joiners, young lawyers?
Let me start by saying that I started just after the financial crisis. So people were rather getting rid of people than hiring people. So circumstances were not ideal. But I have to say that if you have a nicely built up, coherent CV, which includes internships, which reflects the mere fact that you were interested in, gaining experience from different types of activities, be them with larger law firms or smaller law firms, or even in, on a more operational side with banks, with auditing firms and service providers. It just gives the competitive edge to the fact that real life experience is important. And even if you have the best studies, if you went to Harvard, and not to discredit any university, but obviously it's very good, but it doesn't mean that there's an ideal, I would say, standard CV, but you can stand out by showing that you are generally interested in what you're doing. And I think that gives you kind of a slight edge over others and shows commitment, as we previously said. Yeah.
And I pretty agree, and I fully believe that it's not about only your resume, your CV, and your career path, because you have to build on your own. Personally, I've studied dance for many years. I was normally prepared to be a dancer or a dance teacher, which I finally decided to not follow. I decided to go to the business school because I was thinking that I needed a new challenge at the time, but I was really not supposed to study economics and to be today a relationship manager for the fund industry. But it really depends on your character, or on your side. You have to truly and believe in yourself. You have to demonstrate that you're capable of this and you are interested to. If you're curious and you're looking for challenges and looking for new networking opportunity as well, it will definitely help you to enter in the private equity world. It's not about only with your business schools or your studies or even the last employers you were, because of course there are great names which help you to succeed with, but it's yourself is your best asset. Of course, you have to demonstrate and you have to market yourself, of course. Mm-hmm. I don't know, William, what you're thinking about networking, for example.
No, that's an important aspect. It's still on our agenda, but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves too fast. to bring to Jeffrey's point again, so if you're early on in your studies and you know finance is your thing and that's where you want to be, gain as much professional experience as you can by doing internships, training programs, visiting events. If you're setting the track for preparing for the career in this industry, be it ideally in Luxembourg because you have an international environment, but there can be other jurisdictions, other cities, other companies where you can gain first experience. And then at the end, be picky about where you want to be. I mean, also in what field, but then again, if you're in operations, if you did an internship in accountancy or in the front team, if you're so lucky to be in the portfolio management, everything counts. Everything's under your belt and goes to your CV and demonstrates that you had that clear path. Then, if you're already graduated and you haven't done any internships, I've had that in the past with a young colleague who joined. Well, I offered him an internship, or got him an internship position with a company I was working for. A year later, he had 6 months later, he had his junior entry-level position, and he's now really excelling in his career just a few years later. It makes me really proud to see how he developed. And so really put the work in and find a way in. When you visited today, hope you're taking a few notes and got to meet a few people. It's all about preparation because you think, okay, this is like an online speed dating. What can we really do? But you see the agenda. You see the people who are attending, who you might be speaking to, who you want to target. So do the research and be prepared for every interview and treat it like this is your last interview, because hopefully it is, and you score the job afterwards. Graduate university, get an internship under your belt. You can't expect to be offered a position in business development directly, or you have to have quite some experience and be lucky as Laurent to convince them to take him on. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. So this is us explaining how to get there. Once you're in, so you got the interview, you got the invitation, be prepared. It's all I can I can't emphasize that enough, because people will show up and don't really understand what the company is doing, who the people are that they're speaking to. When I interviewed for a private equity manager, they were really surprised that I knew what university they attended and who the people we have in common, things like that. So those really score some soft points when going ahead. And then when you're there, right, realize you can't know the industry, you can't know all the ins and outs, because as we heard earlier, there's really no course you can visit during university to understand this is the industry per se. So really demonstrate.
I think it's William that has some connection problems.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's William.
But
Yeah, it's the same. Yes.
But it's
Gurav asked a question in the chat. Just
I can't see the chat. I don't know why.
you need to choose the stage tab and chat. Yes. Well, let me read out. Yes, for you. For someone from banking, finance, but not exactly private equity, what could be some of topics that PE interviewers would expect the candidates to know? Well, Laurent, you shared it was sales for you. That was the entry point.
it really depends on it. It really depends on which position you're interviewed for at the interview. Because if you are being interviewed for, let's say, a service or an administration position, of course, compliance or relationship management is something completely different than portfolio management, business development, and so on and so forth. So I think they're not really the typical question, let's say. What I ask, for example, we are looking for investment analysts now that help us structure the deals and also in the whole process of the deal closing. And there, for us, it's of course important to know how people value, how do they do the valuation of the deals, how do they analyze the deals, do they have some background in that field. But that's also, to be honest, a bit learning by doing. You of course have your standard procedures always, but it really depends on the position you're interviewing for.
And the level you're looking for.
And
If you are looking for, if you're looking for someone senior, then the question would be easy. But if you're looking for junior people, of course, we are not looking for someone who already deeply know the industry of the private equity, but something perhaps just to have a look on the private equity. What is the startups, the type of the private equity investments, the basics, I guess. And it's really it's not easy to learn, but you can easily find information even by your own on internet, and to have to follow modules. For example, the LPA organize trainings, and I know that our junior people attended last year, and they were really great in the private equity world because they learned a lot. So you should be curious and to have a look on what is the private equity, just to understand, and perhaps have an economic background. Of course, it helps you because it will understand you how the investment works, and there are particularities to private equity, but it definitely helps you to have an economics background or financial background.
Also, maybe it's important to tell the people that are not from Luxembourg, that are applying from outside of Luxembourg, that Luxembourg is basically the back office of all those investment funds. The real decision makers are often not physically present in Luxembourg. They come to Luxembourg to take the decision most of the time, but Luxembourg has I don't know the exact numbers, maybe 40,000 people working in that field. In private equity, I think it's like 6,000 people working there. That includes the lawyers, that includes the auditors, some advisors as well, depository banks for funds, administration for funds, and then also alternative investment fund managers, so third-party AFMs. Those people all provide services to the fund managers, like me. And so the real fund managers themselves, that you won't find many investment fund managers that are basically based in Luxembourg. But I think the service industry, I would call it the service industry, is very, very interesting to get a first step into the world of investment funds. And then we are now an exception, but there are many great and interesting things that you can work in investment funds without being actively managing or being in an investment management firm. Just to clarify that not everybody who has got his company in Luxembourg is also there, but they come
all the time. Yeah,
for sure.
Laurent, maybe to add, you've been interviewing candidates all day. He was telling me earlier that he was very positively surprised about the quality of the candidates. Maybe if you look in your notes, what were a few questions you asked during those interviews?
I mean, for us as a Luxembourg-based investment company, we currently have a lot of, first of all, we have many men working with us. So we look at the diversification aspects. I'm always happy when women or very international people from all around the world are applying for a job with us. So I'm always interested in the background, what did they do. I'm happy to see a CV where they say, okay, I quit university for a year, I went traveling and then restarted university again, because then I think, okay, those people are free-spirited, they have a free mind, they think outside the box, and that's what we need in investment business. Really, a large part of the investment business is just lying on the couch listening to music and think about the next idea. It's not about analyzing a lot of stuff at the end of the day. It's about being creative and understanding the macroeconomics. So for me, and there, of course, it really depends on on the position we are hiring for. But for me, you have to understand, of course, how a business works. But even more important, it's to understand where is this business positioned in the world. Okay, but at the end of the world, we want to buy companies that grow in value, and then we sell again and make money. So that's the business, okay, for us. And that's important to understand the global approach. And for us, it's just important to see how the people also act on camera, you know, because it's an unpersonal way. And if you manage to be nice and have a personal approach via camera already, then I can imagine they are also very nice in general when you see them in person. And just how secure they are. And I have to say, I was really surprised how many international, really great young people they are that were today here at this LPA Career Adventure Day.
How Luxembourg is strong for the fund industry, definitely.
Yes, I mean, we are the number one in Europe. Many people, I mean, finance is, a lot is done in English. So I think even if you don't speak Luxembourgish, like Jeffrey and me, that you can work in finance in Luxembourg, you know, and we are open country to live in, and we welcome foreigners for decades now already. Yeah.
That's what I really like about Luxembourg, is the international environment. It makes me feel very at home, since I'm not 100% German. I have American mother. I grew up just across the border of Germany, but I've always felt most comfortable and most at home here. And the international environment, in working not just purely for a German company or a French company, it really adds a lot of excitement to the job, I want to say. But maybe a short round just to loosen it up. One question that was asked during an interview to me was, so give me your elevator pitch. And at that moment, I was so nervous. I'm sorry, my what? What's an elevator pitch? To summarize, it's when you hop into an elevator and pitch your idea or yourself, your CV, to the boss during the ride in the elevator up a few stories. And arguably, if you're in investment banking, that ride to the high floor is a lot longer than in small buildings. But at that point, just be honest and tell them, excuse me, can you give me some assistance? I did not know what she wanted from me. And then the moment she explained it, it came back to me. And then I said, hey, well, I can do this for you and that for you. And at the end, to summarize, I can make your life a lot easier, because I like to get things done and I understand what drives you and what you learn from that.
Yeah, I had the same experience with one guy today I only had 5 minutes basically, and I said to him, "I'm really sorry. Keep it short and simple. Tell me." And he spoke immediately. He started immediately, and I said, "Okay, I need to go. I'm really sorry." And he said, "Okay, and by the way, I work for free. I really want to do it. It's great. I'm motivated." I said, "Okay, thanks." You know, but you have to also understand there are many people working in finance, and there are many bright people around. It is really, really crazy. It is not easy to find the best people, but it's probable to find very good people. So you need to differentiate yourself a bit in the field, but it was, I have to say, it's a lot of fun, and I continue having interviews until late this evening still. So there are many people here, and I'm really happy. I just mentioned again, maybe. Yeah.
Well, hi. You make it all look very sexy and animated and rush. I wonder, how is the life of young lawyers coming to Luxembourg, because those are a big share of the new recruits of the Luxembourg investment industry. Jeffrey, what's the experience from a legal background?
So I think I'll start by saying that the job in itself it's a marathon. It's not a sprinting exercise. So you have to take into account the fact that there's a fast-paced job. It's very competitive, of course, and you're being pushed to work hard in a dynamic environment. So either you can see it as a challenge or you will suffer under it. And so the best advice is really to see it as a challenge and try and do not the mistake of trying to compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to your previous or your older yourself so that you can see the real difference, and try to avoid any, how should I put it, try not to give in to that competitiveness amongst young lawyers where everyone tries to be the one that stays until the, I don't know which hour, late in the evening, or doesn't turn off the lights when he goes somewhere, just to give the impression that he's still in the office. So all of these things are, it's not a healthy balance, and you need to be a balanced person in order to persevere on the long run. And that's what we were looking for. And I think most firms have now also taken or understood the importance of having a real work-life balance, to the extent that this exists, because there's always a discussion on what is work-life balance. But yes, it is in the early beginning. I think it's going to be your first job as well, so you need to get comfortable and get familiar with the fact that you are stepping from your academic life to a professional life, and the switch in itself is already difficult because it's more demanding, and I think if you have the right mindset to the professional life approach, and you see it as a challenge, and you want to get better and develop your skills, then you can, you have all the options in front of you. Luxembourg is one of the countries, I think, which offers in a very small environment a gateway to private equity, to other markets, cross-border, which you don't really find elsewhere. And as we previously noted with William as well, the fact that we live in a very interconnected world in Luxembourg, internationally recognized, but also very familiar. We know, all of us, we know each other from events, from networkings. So all of this is quite easy to get into, but of course it requires you to be actively involved and to be really interested in private equity, but also Luxembourg and the working environment.
And another thing that I just wanted to quickly mention is that we Luxembourgers tend, when we finish our studies, to work and work for the Luxembourg government. Okay, and it's on the first thing. One of the first things I realized when I entered finance industry, that maybe we're like 5 people. I felt like the rest is really foreigners coming and working in finance. But we Luxembourgers, maybe we are very comfortable people in general, but because we are doing well.
Cool.
Exactly. I mean, your family is working for the government, your friends is working for the government, your friend maybe is a teacher, has 4 months of holidays a year. I mean, it's very comfortable, okay? But in my opinion, and therefore, it is really, really difficult also to find Luxembourgers that would like to work in finance. In general, mostly it's people where their parents have been working in finance, and their parents have not been working in, let's say, investment funds, but mainly have been bankers. Okay, and then you maybe get a chance to find somebody, a Luxembourger, working with us, because also the Luxembourg government pays very, very well. The finance industry doesn't pay well in the beginning. We have to say that. So it's really difficult maybe to find some people that are willing to work for free or for not so much money, and then also need to move to Luxembourg. And Luxembourg is also expensive. More expensive than other countries. So you need to do your calculation, what do you want to do in the future? And I was ambitious enough to say I will not work for the government. And I think Jeffrey as well. And so, yeah, that's a bit of the problem that we face in finance, that we also, not many Luxembourgers are willing to do what we do.
Do you think it will change with the next generation?
Absolutely not.
No?
Because no. a teacher at the end of his career, when he's 45 years old, has a salary of around 7,000 euros net, 10,500 euros a month, and 4 months of holidays paid. So if you work for 36 years, you have 12 years of holidays. How should we do that in finance, to be honest? So, I mean, you can ask what the Big Four pay in the beginning as a junior associate, and when a secondary school teacher makes double the money in the beginning. So, difficult.
There's no short-term incentive to join the industry. Yeah.
Jeffrey, do you find a lot of Luxembourgers that would like to work for your firm whose parents are not lawyers? No. Okay. Thank you for asking.
Well, I think we're getting a bit off topic. As you put correctly, most applicants to the PE firms are from other jurisdictions who come from far away to work in Luxembourg. Brexit helped to that as well, and also just the focus of the industry on setting up their structures in Luxembourg really offers a lot. Since 2012-13, when AF&B was rolled out, it's been constant growth in the industry, and with a lot of opportunities for all of us, which was also part that we all were able to excel as we did. Another point would be for us, we were mentioning networking earlier. That's something you can do early on in your career. With Laurent and Manon, we have perfect examples of great networking experts. Jeffrey and I connected early on in our career. He was on the track to be partner, and we both recognize that if we align our interests, if we work together, I think we can be successful together. Or just follow our path and have a friend in the industry. It really helps.
It's true. You definitely have to build your own network and to meet people. First of all, because Luxembourg is very international, and you will learn a lot about this. And if you build your own network, it will definitely help in your careers, and you will find the right person. For example, if you need an auditor for your fund, then you will find someone from your network, because you already met someone who is nice and you want to work with. You will need a lawyer, for example. Then you think about this Jeffrey, for example. That's the way it is. Definitely, it's not about nationalities or backgrounds, legal backgrounds. It's only about networking. It really definitely helps.
Maybe we go for your final words, because we are approaching the limit.
To wrap this up. I mean, you've all seen the list, and I mean, this discussion is based on an article that will come out in the next LPA magazine. Have a look out for that. Be sure to check the homepage on a regular basis. You might find traction there. LinkedIn as social network for business. Be sure to be on there. Have your profile up to date. Connect with people after you've met them at events. Maybe just to go around. Grab one of your points here you find the most important, and then we'll start with Manon.
Oh,
Yeah, go on, Natalia.
Sorry, I just think before we wrap up, I would like to ask William to cover one topic which I think is quite important, mentoring. And this is also something that Manon is taking care of in Private Equity for Women Club, and I think it's very important for people to know if they should pay attention to that.
And how they can find a mentor.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. If you have any questions, reach out to either one of us. We're happy to respond. Take some time. Mentoring is a very important factor that helped me in my career. You always have flawed role models or positive role models. It's important to learn from both of them and take the best aspects of both worlds, of both role models, and apply them to yourself. It's rare to find someone who really cares and not just, in a personal way to get himself ahead, but also cares about you and your career path. Find someone in that in your career, ideally keep in touch with them and try to gain their perspective, gain their advice, and really take it to the heart, I want to say, to apply it to your everyday life, not only professionally, but personally as well. Those coachings and sessions really gave me the boost I needed in confidence, but also to strategically have an outlook on my career and place the right steps one at a time.
And you can have various mentors. You can have mentors at the time of your life, and then you move, and then you need something else. You need some more tips, and sometimes you will just meet someone who will definitely help you to develop your career and your own self. It could be, of course, it could be a woman, it could be a man. They could be very different. Mentors, well, most of the time not the same persons, but they do really help you to develop your careers. And what is important to say is that when you meet someone who really inspire you, you have to carefully listen to them. You have to be open-minded and to open your ears and to listen to the tips they will give you, because it's very important to meet someone who will truly invest in yourself. Because when you meet a mentor, someone just needs to wear a t-shirt with your photography on it. They will sell you. So it's very important to listen to them and to be inspired. Just let yourself to be inspired with these persons. I guess Laurent and Jeffrey will definitely say that they also met mentors in their life to be inspired to enter in this market, because it's very important.
I have,
especially for young people.
My first mentor, I can also name him because I am very thankful. Is Barry Blackberry, and he was my first mentor, an old Irish guy who took me into the finance industry, and then my second boss, let's say, was not so mentorish, and that's also why I left the company, because I had never problems also working for people that are better than me, but I have problems working for people that are not as good as me. And unfortunately, in the corporate system, you know, back in the days, people find their way up somehow. And now also still today, I have an 80-year-old mentor. I will not name him. He's a billionaire from America who gives me the tips. You know, he doesn't work anymore, but we have a Skype call once a week and tell him about my deals. And then, you know, he tells me how he approached the deals back in the day. So he's happy to give something back. And I think after a certain age, people are happy to do that actually for free, just because they think it's important. Yeah, and difficult to find.
Yes, difficult to find. I think it's easy when you have a mentor who takes care of you and gives you advice and guidelines. But very often you may not be able to find the right mentor, either because there is, on the personal level, you don't really get along, or if he's kind of seeing in you his rival. So all of this might make things complicated, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't seek advice. And sometimes, even if you don't have a mentor, there is lots and lots of literature on professional career development, on mentoring advice. So even if you don't have that specific mentor, it doesn't mean that you cannot continue to progress and build your skills upon advice and guidance from books and from, even on the internet, you might be able to find very helpful advice.
And I think it's important. Sorry.
Ladies first. Thank you. Perhaps just to underline that you shouldn't be shy to find a mentor. If you meet someone who really inspire you, just jump on her, on him, and talk to him. Talk about yourself and discover the people. It's very important to provoke the mentoring program, because you as a mentee will bring something to them and you will learn from them. It's very important to not be shy and to discuss with people.
There is a very funny interview from Masayoshi Son, the founder of SoftBank. He has been interviewed by David Rubenstein, the founder of Carlyle, and Masayoshi Son explains how when he was a young guy, wanted to reach out to the CEO of McDonald's in Japan and how he managed to get a meeting there. It's a very, very funny interview. I will post it now into the chat, and then you have to look it and watch it and see how he approached the CEO of McDonald's. Just crazy story. But that's a very good example, for example, how to become a multi-billionaire.
Very good. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Natalia and Luis, for organizing this.
Feel free to contact us if you have any question regarding your career path, any tips you would like to receive from us, and we wish you good luck for your career today.
No, thank you. And actually, I think what we wanted to do today was also to show a bit of our community. Who are the people behind the private equity community in Luxembourg? And I think this panel was a great example of people that we see on a regular basis in different committees, different networking events. And thank you for joining us and for showing what our community is as well.
And just to wrap it up, I would like to let you know that we have these type of conversations on a regular basis. It's called Career Adventure Webinars, which are free and you can always attend them. The next one will be on the 20th of April with BlackRock, and you are very welcome to join this conversation with Persephone from BlackRock. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed the
Have a nice
remaining
day.
of your care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.